Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hi everyone, this is Mallika Pathak from Miranda House, University of Delhi, continuing with the course on gaseous state for the students of BSc Honours Chemistry and BSc with Chemistry. This is Module 1, Lecture 2 of the series. The academic expert of the course is Dr. Amrita T. Sheikh, and the recording is being done on the DDTH Swayam Prabha project of the MHRD, New Delhi. Now, to fully understand the world around us requires that we have a good understanding of the behavior of gases. The description of gases and their behavior can be approached from several perspectives. The gas laws are a mathematical interpretation of the behavior of gases, and we studied these gas laws in the previous lecture, like Boyle's law, Charles' law, Gay-Lussac's law, Dalton's law of partial pressure, etc. We also tried and derived ideal gas equation. So these gas laws are mathematical interpretation of the behavior of gases. However, for understanding the mathematics of gases, a chemist must have an understanding of the conceptual description of a gas. That is the purpose of the kinetic theory of gases, which we are going to study today. We will also try and derive the kinetic gas equation. We will use this kinetic gas equation to further derive our experimental laws that we have studied in the previous lecture. So let's start with the kinetic theory of gases. In order to explain the observed behavior of gases, a model was proposed based on the molecular and kinetic concepts of gas molecules. This model takes into account the particulate nature of matter and the constant movement of particles. The various gas laws like Boyle's law, Charles' law, Dalton's law of partial pressure, etc. have been arrived at by experiment. There was no theoretical explanation for the behavior of gases. To account for the behavior of gases, a model was proposed which takes into account the observed behavior of gases, and this model is called as the kinetic theory of gases. Now, the kinetic molecular theory, the kinetic theory of gases, or the kinetic model was proposed by Kronig, Clausius, Maxwell and Boltzmann in the 19th century. This theory proved to be a sound theoretical basis to the various gas laws like Boyle's law, Charles' law, Graham's law, Dalton's law. This theory is basically a theoretical proof for all the gas laws. Kinetic theory is defined as a theory that gases consist of small particles in random motion. So kinetic molecular theory, or the kinetic theory of gases, explains the laws that describe the behavior of gases, and it was developed during the 19th century by Boltzmann, Clausius and Maxwell. This provides a molecular explanation for the behavior and the observations that led to the development of the idea. The kinetic theory of gases takes into account the molecular concept as well as the kinetic concept of gas molecules. This theory has been devised to rationalize the behavior of gases because it takes into account the particle nature of matter as well as their constant motion, and its assumption relates to the microscopic particles. This theory is also known as the microscopic model. Now, this theory is based on certain postulates or the assumption, and we need to know these postulates. The first postulate is that the gases consist of large number of minute particles called molecules, which are so small and so far apart that the actual volume of molecules is negligible compared to the total volume of the gas. The molecules of a particular gas are identical in all respects. Please, I must emphasize here, what we are saying is that gas consists of large number of minute identical particles, and these particles are called as molecules. These molecules are so small and so far apart that the actual volume of the molecules is negligible as compared to the total volume that they have occupied, or the volume of the container in which they have been kept. The second is that the molecules in the gas are in a constant state of random motion. So they are colliding with each other, they are colliding with the walls of the container, and all these collisions are continuously taking place within the gas molecules which are kept in a container. Now, so when they are colliding with the walls of the container, they obviously will exert pressure. So the pressure imparted by the gas originates from the collision of the molecules with the walls of the container and the consequent change of the momentum. We in the previous lecture we had looked what is pressure and what is its units. We also said the pressure is due to the collision of the molecules with the walls of the container. So the kinetic theory of gases also says that the pressure is due to the collision of the gas molecules with the walls of the container. The collision of the molecules are perfectly elastic in nature. That is, no energy is lost in the collision, although there may be a transfer of energy between the partners in the collision. So there is no wastage of energy because there are no intermolecular forces of attraction. The molecules are so small, they are continuously colliding. It is important to note that there is no energy which is lost during these collision. Now, as I have already said, that there are no intermolecular forces of attraction between these molecules, and so they will move independently of each other. There is no binding force which is inhibiting their movement. So what was our first? It was said that you have minute particles, and the particles are so small that if you put them together, their actual volume is negligible as compared to the container that they are occupying. What was the second? That these particles are continuously colliding with each other and also with the walls of the container. The third was that the pressure that they impart is due to the collision with the walls of the container. And then the fourth says that the collisions are elastic. So there is no energy which is lost when they collide, whether within each other or with the walls of the container. And why is there no energy lost? Because there are no intermolecular forces of attraction or repulsion which are there. And so the molecules are totally moving independent of each other. Also, one important point is that there is no gravitational force which is acting on the motion of the molecules, and if it is there, then it is supposed to be negligible in nature. Now, the last, at a particular instant, the different molecules of a gas move with different velocities, because obviously when they are colliding with each other, the velocities are continuously changing because there is a change in velocity due to the transfer of momentum from one molecule to the other. So they are moving with different velocities. Because they are moving with different velocities, they will also have different kinetic energy. However, the average kinetic energy of the molecules is directly proportional to the absolute temperature of the gas. So these are the 7 postulates that you must recall when you are working with the kinetic theory of gases. Now let's try and derive the kinetic theory equation. Now, what are we saying is that the kinetic theory of equation is actually a very simple model which is explaining the macroscopic properties like P and V of a gas using the microscopic properties. Now let's try and use this understanding of kinetic theory of gases and its postulates to derive the equation. So let's imagine there is a cube of edge length L which contains n molecules and each have a mass of m, what we had talked about. So let's assume there is a cube which has an edge length L and which contains n molecules and each of them have a mass of m. The molecules are moving at random in all directions with speed covering a range of values. The velocity u of any molecule can be resolved into 3 component velocities which are designated as ux, uy and uz. So what have we assumed? We are assuming that you have a cube which has an edge length L, x, y and z are all L, and it contains n molecules. These n molecules all have a mass of m because they are identical in all respects. These molecules are continuously at motion and they are randomly moving with different velocities. Now let us assume that there is any molecule whose velocity is u, and it can be resolved into three component velocities. Let the component velocities be ux, uy and uz in the x, y and z direction respectively. These directions, obviously ux will be parallel to the x axis, uy will be parallel to the y axis and uz will be parallel to the z axis. Now if u is our velocity of that molecule and ux, uy and uz are its resolution in the three direction, then u square is equal to ux square plus uy square plus uz square. So let's just look at the x component of this velocity. So when the molecule impacts the face A, let's go back. Do you have this face A? This molecule, let us say it impacts the face A. When it impacts the face A, the x component of its momentum is changed from mux to mux in the with the minus sign. So you have a face A and the molecule is moving in this direction. Because it is moving towards it, so the momentum before it will be equal to mux, and after it has collided and is going back, it will be minus mux. So the change of momentum of the molecule in a single collision with the face A will be equal to mux minus mux. So you will get 2 mux. So the change of momentum of the molecule in a single collision with the face A is equal to 2 mux. Now since L is the edge length of the cube, the molecule has to travel a distance 2L to arrive back at the face A. So it has traveled in this direction and then it travels back, and it has traveled how much distance? 2L to arrive back at the face A. But we want the rate of change of momentum. So we need to divide it by the time taken between the collisions with the face A. Now what will be the time t between the collisions? We know that t is equal to distance upon speed. So we have t is equal to total distance between going and coming back. So total distance to opposite face and back divided by the x component of the velocity. So you get, what was the distance traveled? It was 2L. And what was the x component of the velocity? Ux. So the time taken between the collisions is equal to 2L upon ux. Okay. So moving on. Now we know that according to the Newton's second law, the force on a molecule is actually equal to the rate of change of momentum. So force will be equal to change of momentum upon time taken. Now what was our change of momentum? You had mux in this direction and minus mux in this direction. So mux minus mux, you got 2 mux. So you get 2 mux. That was the change of momentum. So the collision with the face A, and then the molecule moves back. So 2 mux. What is the time taken? It is 2L upon ux. We've just found out that time is equal to distance upon speed. Distance was 2L and the x component of the velocity was ux. So 2 mux upon 2L divided by ux. So you get mux square upon L. So hence the total force due to the impact of a single molecule with the face A of the vessel is actually equal to mux square upon L. Now we know that pressure is equal to force upon area. Now we know that area of the wall was what? L square, because the edge length of the cube was L. So the area of the wall is L square. We have pressure is equal to force upon area. We have just found out the value of force. So dividing by the area, we will get the value of pressure. So the pressure exerted due to the collision of the x component of the velocity of the single molecule with the face A is equal to Px is equal to mux square by L divided by L square. So what you get is L divided by L square, you get LQ. So MUX square upon V. Now this is just the x component velocity of a single molecule. Now we've not talked about the y component, we've not talked about the z component, we're just right now talking about a single molecule. So the pressure is equal to force upon area. The force was equal to rate of change of momentum, so this was equal to MUX square by L, and area was equal to L square, so you get MUX square by L cube, which is equal to volume V of the vessel. Now since each molecule will exert similar pressure, the total pressure exerted by I molecules on the face A will be equal to, so we are just talking about right now, please understand, we are just talking about the x component of all the molecules. So we found out the value of x component of a single molecule. Now we wanted the value of total pressure due to the x component. So P is equal to summation I equal to 1 to n Pix. So we just find out the value. We had MUX square by L cube or MUX square by V. So M upon V is a constant, so we take it out. Summation I equal to 1 to n Uix square. Now here we define a new term which is called as root mean square velocity. So root mean square velocity, Ux square, is equal to actually the sum of the square of the velocities divided by the total number. So Ux square is equal to 1 by n summation I equal to 1 to n Uix square. So we've got the root mean square velocity of the x component of the velocities. Now so we can write our pressure is equal to mn by v Ux square. Now this has to happen for all the directions. Right now we have taken x component of each molecule, just summed them together and got the values of the pressure for the x components. Now we want it for all directions. So since the directions x, y and z are all equivalent, we know that Ux square will be equal to Uy square, which will be equal to the Uz square. And if that is true, and we know that U square is equal to what? Sum of Ux square plus Uy square plus Uz square, you can get the value of root mean square velocity of all the components. So you get U square is equal to Ux square, Uy square and Uz square, which is, please understand, these are the root mean square velocities. So now if I substitute this, then Ux square will be equal to Uy square, which will be equal to Uz square, which will be actually equal to 1 by 3 U bar square. So this is actually root mean square velocity. I am emphasizing that this is the root mean square velocity. So we just substitute it into this. We get P is equal to mn by V 1 by 3 U bar square. This leads to the kinetic gas equation, which is PV is equal to 1 by 3 mn U bar square. So the ideal gas equation, how has it been derived? We assumed a cube which had an edge length of L and consisted of n molecules of mass m. They were all put in a cube. Now we initially found out the value of rate of change of momentum because that was equal to the pressure. What was the change of momentum? In this direction you had MUX, in the back direction you had minus MUX. So my MUX minus MUX, you got 2 MUX. Then you got the value of the force because that was equal to the rate of change of momentum, and you had to calculate the value of time, so you got the value of force. Now when you got the value of force, you used it to calculate the value of pressure because pressure is equal to force upon area. We had the value of pressure, we got the value of area because we know that the cube has an edge length of L, so we get pressure divided by L square, so we get L cube in the denominator. Once we get that, we have only first solved it for the x component of the velocity for one molecule. Now we do it for n molecules. So we do it for n molecules and we get a value. Now we know that the x component is equivalent to y component, which is equal to the z component, and the sum of all these three is equal to the u square. The sum of the squares of these three are equal to the u square. So we just solve this and we get 1 by 3 u bar square. We substitute and we get PV is equal to 1 by 3 mn u bar square. So this is called as the kinetic gas equation. This is very, very important. You must understand this is kinetic gas equation. So now our kinetic gas equation is P is equal to 1 by 3 mn by v u bar square. So this can, because we know that density is equal to mass upon velocity, so this can also be written as P is equal to 1 by 3 rho u bar square, because rho is equal to nm by v. I'm repeating, density is equal to mass upon volume, m into n is the mass of the gas divided by volume, so we get the density of the gas. So P is equal to 1 by 3 rho u bar square. So you must understand that the kinetic equation, gas equation was what? P is equal to, PV is equal to 1 by 3 mn u bar square, or it can be also written as P is equal to 1 by 3 mn by v u bar square, or P is equal to 1 by 3 rho u bar square. So this is what, so kinetic gas equation we must remember. Now let us try and derive the experimental gas laws from the kinetic gas equation. We have learned that the kinetic theory of gases is used to explain the experimental gas laws. It was a theoretical concept which was used to explain the experimental gas laws that we had studied. So let's try and do that. But before we do that, let's look at the last postulate of kinetic theory of gases, which said average kinetic energy is proportional to the absolute temperature. Now if that is true, that means 1 by 2 mu bar square is proportional to T. Now please understand, here this mu bar square is nothing but the root mean square velocity. Now whenever we have a proportionality sign and we remove it, we put a constant of proportionality. So our 1 by 2 mu bar square becomes equal to K into T, where K is the constant of proportionality and T is the absolute temperature. Because this is true, our kinetic gas equation said that PV is equal to 1 by 3 nm u bar square. Now let us multiply and divide this right hand part by 2. So then our equation will become 2 by 3 n into 1 by 2 mu bar square, and we know that 1 by 2 mu bar square is equal to kT from our previous understanding. So if I substitute this, we get PV is equal to 2 by 3 n kT, where K is the constant of proportionality that we had used earlier, n is the number of molecules, and T is the absolute temperature. Now this we will be using while we are deriving the experimental gas laws. So let's start with the Boyle's law. We already know what is Boyle's law, that at constant temperature and constant mass of the gas, the pressure is inversely proportional to volume. So let's find out how we do it. Now if temperature is constant, mass of the gas is constant, that means the number of molecules n will be constant because of the mass. If that is true, then PV is equal to 1 by 3 nm u bar square. We have already done that we multiply and divide by 2, and we get 2 by 3 n into 1 by 2 mu bar square, which is equal to 2 by 3 n kT. Now if this is true, then 2 by 3 is a constant, n is the number of molecules, that is a constant, K is a constant of proportionality, so it is a constant, and T is the absolute temperature, which has been kept constant for the Boyle's law. So the right hand side of the equation has become constant when you keep the temperature constant and the mass of the gas constant. That means PV is equal to constant, or in other words, P is inversely proportional to volume, which is what the Boyle's law states. Now let's try and derive the Charles law from the kinetic gas equation. Now what was Charles law? That if you keep the pressure constant and mass of the gas constant, then volume is directly proportional to temperature. Let's try and derive it from the kinetic gas equation. Now pressure is kept constant, mass of the gas is kept constant, so therefore the number of molecules will remain constant. Now if that is true, and our equation is PV is equal to 1 by 3 mn u bar square, or we have substituted 2 in the numerator and 2 in the denominator, that is multiplied it and divided by 2, and we get 2 by 3 n kT. If that is true, then PV is equal to 2 by 3 n kT. Let's bring the P on the right hand side. Therefore we get V is equal to 2 by 3 n k by P into T. we get V is equal to 2 by 3 N K by P into T. That means this is the equation. Now 2 by 3 is a constant, N the number of molecules has been kept constant, K is a constant of proportionality, and P is a constant because of the pressure. So all this is a constant. Therefore V is equal to constant into T, or in other words V is directly proportional to temperature when the pressure of the gas has been kept constant and the mass of the gas has also been kept constant. Now let's just try and derive the Avogadro's law from the kinetic gas equation. So what was the Avogadro's law? Equal volume of any two gases at the same temperature and pressure contain the same number of molecules. So our kinetic gas equation is P1 V1 is equal to 2 by 3 NKT. So this can be, if I have state 1 and state 2, P1 V1 is equal to 2 by 3 N1 K1 T1, and let's have the second state, P2 V2 is equal to 2 by 3 N2 K2 and T2. Now we are saying that equal volumes of any two gases at the same temperature and pressure. So if we keep the temperature and pressure constant for both the states, that is P1 we keep as P2 and T1 we keep as equal to T2, then we get P1 V1 upon P2 V2 is equal to 2 by 3 N1 K1 upon T1 upon 2 by 3 N2 K2 upon T2. Now because we have kept P1 and T1 same for both the states, so we get cancelled. T1 will be cancelled by T2, P1 will be cancelled by P2. So you get V1 upon V2 is equal to N1 upon N2, and that is what our Avogadro's law states, that equal volume of all gases contains same number of molecules. So if the volumes are equal, then the number of molecules will also be equal. So very simple, I am repeating. If I have two gases and at two different states, one is the state is P1 V1 and T1, the other state is P2 V2 and T2. Please, I must remind here that this is an equation of state, right? So if we have an equation of state and we fix some parameters, out of 4 parameters, if we fix 3, the fourth automatically gets fixed. In any case, if we have two gases and they are in two different states and we say that the pressure and temperature are same, then P1 is equal to P2, T1 is equal to T2, and we divide the first equation by the second equation, we get V1 upon V2 is equal to N1 upon N2 when P1 was equal to P2 and T1 was equal to T2. So that proves our Avogadro's. Now let us try and prove Graham's law of effusion from the kinetic gas equation. According to the Graham's law, the rate of effusion is inversely proportional to the square root of its molecular mass. That is, R1 by R2 is equal to under root M2 by M1. But we also know that R1 by R2 is equal to under root U1 square upon U2 square. Now, if that is true and we know that PV is equal to 1 by 3 Mn U bar square, we can get the value of U bar square from the kinetic gas equation, which is 3 PV upon Mn. Now, if we are talking about an ideal gas, 1 mole, then PV will be equal to RT and N will be equal to Na. If I substitute these into a U bar square, you get 3 RT by M into N, where M is the mass of each molecule and N is the number of molecules. Now, because we are talking about 1 mole, so N is equal to Avogadro number, that is Na. So, M into Na will be equal to molecular mass. So, you will get U bar square is equal to 3 RT by M. Now, R1 by R2 is equal to under root U1 square upon U2 square. Let us substitute our values and we get 3 RT by M1 in place of U1 square and 3 RT by M2 in place of U2 square. Therefore, R1 by R2 is proved equal to under root M2 by M1, which is what our Graham's law of effusion states. Now, let us try and solve for root mean square speed. Although we have defined it, let us try and see how it depends on various factors and what is it equal to. Although we have just done it in the previous slide and we have also defined root mean square speed before, but we need to have a better understanding because we are going to use this through the whole gaseous state. So, what is root mean square speed? It is defined as the square root of the average of the squares of the speed. I am repeating, is defined as the square root of the average of the squares of the speed. So, you first take the average of the square of the speed, that is u1 square plus u2 square plus u3 square plus un square divided by n, and then you take the square root. So then you get root mean square speed. Now this is the under root u bar square. So under root u bar square is equal to under root u1 square plus u2 square plus u3 square plus un square divided by n. Now we know that from the kinetic gas equation, 3pv is equal to mn u bar square. So u bar square is equal to 3pv by mn. If I am talking about an ideal gas, then pv will be equal to RT and n will be equal to Na for 1 mole. Then u bar square is actually equal to 3RT by m. So our u bar square is written as under root u bar square is written as under root 3RT by m, which is also written as 3pv by m, under root 3pv by m. So u bar square is equal to 3RT by m and 3pv by m, but under root u bar square, that is root mean square speed, is written as under root 3RT by n and under root 3pv by m. So what does it show actually? It says and it shows that the root mean square speed is directly proportional to the square root of the absolute temperature and is inversely proportional to the square root of the molecular mass or the molar mass. So this means that at a given temperature, the lighter molecules will move faster than the heavier molecules. There is going to be no effect of change of pressure or volume on the RMS speed, since at any given temperature PV will be always equal to constant. I am repeating, u bar square was equal to 3RT by m and also equal to 3pv by m. But when we are talking about under root u bar square, therefore they will be equal to under root 3RT by m or under root 3pv by m. That means our root mean square speed is proportional to the square root of the temperature and inversely proportional to the square root of molar mass. So at a given temperature, the lighter molecules will be found to be moving faster than the heavier molecules. Also, another thing to be important to be noted is that the effect of pressure or volume on the root mean square speed is not going to be there, because at any given temperature, the PV is equal to constant according to the Boyle's law. So let's look at a numerical based on what we have studied till now. Calculate the pressure exerted by 10 to the power 23 gas molecules, each of mass 10 to the power minus 22 gram, in a container of volume 1 liter. The RMS velocity is 10 to the power 5 centimeter per second. Now see, these are not given in the SI units. So whenever you are given a numerical which is not having quantities in SI units, please try and convert them into SI units. There are two ways of going about it. You can solve it in the CAGS unit and finally convert it into SI units. But there are certain examiners who expect that the students also make substitution into the equation in the SI unit. That means the student should be able to do the conversions beforehand. So I would suggest that you do it beforehand. So n is equal to 10 to the power 23, m is equal to 10 to the power minus 22 grams. So this will be equal to 10 to the power minus 25 kgs here, because we will be using actually so u bar square is equal to 10 to the power 5 centimeter per second. So we will be converting into 10 to the power 3 meter per second. V is equal to 1 liter or 10 to the power 3 ml. So V is equal to 10 to the power minus 3 meter cube. Now if I substitute the values of mass, u bar square, V into the PV is equal to 1 by 3 mn u bar square, I will get this kind of term. So 1 into 10 to the power minus 25 kg into 10 to the power 23 into 10 to the power 3 meter per second divided by 3 into 10 to the power minus 3 meter cube. So when I solve this, I get 0.33 into 10 to the power 7 kg per meter per second square, which can also be written as 0.33 into 10 to the power 7 Pascal. Let us look at another numerical to get a better understanding. A bulb of capacity 1 decimeter cube contains 1.03 into 10 to the power 23 gaseous hydrogen molecules, and the pressure exerted by these molecules is 101.325 kilopascal. calculate the average square molecular speed and the temperature. We are given that V is equal to 1 decimeter cube, N is equal to 1.03 into 10 to the power 23, and P is equal to 101.325 kilopascal. So we can find out the number of moles. Number of moles is equal to N upon Na. We are given 1.03 into 10 to the power 23. We divide it by 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 per mole, and we get 0.171 mole. So these are the number of moles. Now let us find out the value of temperature. Now using ideal gas equation, PV is equal to nRT. So T is equal to PV by nR. We are given the value of pressure. So pressure we will take as 101.325 kilopascal. Volume we will take as 1 decimeter cube. N we have taken as 0.171 mole, which we had calculated before. And the R value that we are going to take will depend upon all these three values. So we are here taking 8.314 kilopascal decimeter cube per Kelvin per mole. Please, you have to understand that you have to remember the values of R that you will be using. Because when you, as long as you are going to study chemistry, if you go into research, R is going to be essential part of all your calculations. So you must know the values of R. So R is equal to 8.314 kilopascal decimeter cube per Kelvin per mole here. But you can also use other values of R depending upon the various terms that are involved. So once we substitute this, we get 71.27 Kelvin. Now we also have to find out the value of average square molecular speed. So we know that this is equal to 3 RT by M. Let us take the value 3. Now here we are using the value 8.314, but the units that we are using is joules per Kelvin per mole. So 8.314 joules per Kelvin per mole. We are given the value of temperature 71.27 Kelvin that we had calculated earlier, and the molar mass as 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 kg per mole. So once you substitute this 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 kg per mole is because we are using gaseous hydrogen molecules. So H2 is equal to that the atomic mass of hydrogen is 1, and we are using H2 molecules, so 2 hydrogen atoms, so 2 and 2 into 10 to the power minus 3 kg per mole for the molar mass. So we get 8.888 into 10 to the power 5 joules per kg, or this can also be written as 8.888 into 10 to the power 5 meter per second square, the whole square, right? Okay, let's now define average kinetic energy. We have been using this in the postulates. We have used it while doing PV is equal to 1 by 3 mn u bar square. Let's try and define what is average kinetic energy. We know that kinetic energy is 1 by 2 mu square. But what is average kinetic energy? So average kinetic energy of a molecule is the total kinetic energy of all the molecules divided by total number of molecules. So it is the average of the kinetic energy. Now you know that in a gas, all molecules are moving randomly, colliding with each other and also with the walls of the container. So their speeds are continuously changing during the time that they spend in the container or even outside. Now because their speeds are continuously changing, we cannot actually give us the exact value of a speed, and because the speeds are changing, therefore kinetic energies are also changing. So what we give is actually the value of average kinetic energy. So the average kinetic energy of a molecule is actually equal to the total kinetic energy of all the molecules divided by the total number of molecules. So average kinetic energy comes out to be 1 by 2 mu bar square. We had also used this while deriving it earlier. So now if we know that PV is equal to 1 by 3 nm u bar square and we multiply and divide by 2, then we get 2 by 3 n 1 by 2 mu bar square. Now therefore kinetic energy, this 1 by 2 mu bar square is nothing but kinetic energy. So kinetic energy comes out to be, we take 3 to the numerator and divide by 2n. So we get kinetic energy is equal to 3 PV by 2n. Now we know that for 1 mole of a gas, PV is equal to RT and N is equal to Na. So with this, the above equation becomes kinetic energy is equal to 3 RT by 2 Na. And we know that R upon Na is defined as what is called as Boltzmann constant. So 3 by R upon Na is called as Boltzmann constant. So 3 by 2 kT. So average kinetic energy, because it is equal to 3 by 2 RT by Na, it is also equal to 3 by 2 kT, where K is the Boltzmann constant. So K is equal to R by Na. And what is the value of K? We know as 8.314 joules per Kelvin per mole. What is the value of Na that we know? 6.022 into 10 to the power 23 per mole. So the value of K that we get is 1.38 into 10 to the power minus 23 joules per Kelvin. 1.38 into 10 to the power minus 23 joules per Kelvin. So we must remember that the total kinetic energy for 1 mole of the gas is given as E total is equal to Avogadro number into kinetic energy. And what is kinetic energy equal to? So we know 3 by 2 RT, and if we multiply by Na, we get 3 by 2 RT, because Na, we had 3 by 2 RT by Na get cancelled out, so we get 3 by 2. So the total kinetic energy for 1 mole of any gas is equal to 3 by 2 RT, and we are talking about ideal gas. So another numerical that we must understand is calculate the total kinetic energy of 0.5 moles of an ideal gas at 273 Kelvin. We've just seen that total kinetic energy is equal to what? 3 by 2 RT for 1 mole. So if I multiply by the number of moles, I will get the total kinetic energy. So we're given 0.5 moles. 0.5 moles into 3 by 2 RT. 3 by 2 R is equal to 8.314 joules per Kelvin per mole into T, and we will get the total kinetic energy. Right? So let us recall what we have done in today's class. So today we discussed about kinetic theory of gases and its postulates. Let us recall the postulates again. So the first postulate was that all gases are made up of minute particles called molecules. The molecules are so small that their actual volume is a negligible fraction of the total volume occupied by the gas. The second postulate was the molecules are separated from one another by large molecules. The empty spaces among them are so large that the actual volume occupied by the molecules is negligible as compared to the total volume of the gas. Another point was that the molecules are in a state of constant random motion and in all directions. During their motion, they collide with one another and also with the walls of the container, and thus therefore they are changing their path continuously. Another point was molecules are assumed to be spherical and perfectly elastic. Hence, their molecular collisions are perfectly elastic. Therefore, they do not undergo any loss of energy when they collide with one another or with the walls of the container. However, there may be a redistribution of energy during the collision. Obviously, when they collide, they transfer momentum. The velocities may change, but the overall energy will remain the same. There are no forces of attraction or repulsion between the molecules. They move completely independent of one another because of the large distance of separation. Another was that the effect of gravity of the gas molecules is negligible because the gas molecules are continuously moving with high intensity. Now there is another which was very important, and that was that the pressure of the gas that we are talking always about is due to the bombardment of the molecules of the gas against the walls of the container. However, we must remember that there is no energy loss during the collision. And the last and one of the most important point was that the average kinetic energy of the gas molecules is directly proportional to the absolute temperature. So, because the kinetic energy was directly proportional to the absolute temperature, so the velocity of the gas molecules is directly proportional to the square root of the absolute temperature. So we did kinetic theory of gases, their postulates. So we just discussed the postulate. Then we derived the kinetic gas equation using the model, wherein we assume that there is a cube of length L which has number of molecules as n, and each molecule was identical and has a mass m. Then we talked about the collision with the face of the cube, and there was a change in momentum. The change in momentum was equal to 2 mux, because one in the direction of the face it was mux, and back it was minus mux. So we know that the force according to the second law was equal to rate of change of momentum. So we found out the value of force. From the force we calculated the value of pressure. In all this we were using only the x component of the velocity. Then we did it for the number of molecules n. So x component of velocities of n molecules. Then we did it for all the components, and therefore finally we got an equation which was PV is equal to 1/3 mn u bar square. So kinetic theory of gases postulate, and then the kinetic gas equation. Then we use that kinetic gas equation to derive the experimental laws which were the basis on which kinetic theory of gas was postulated or was proposed. So then we derived Boyle's law, Charles' law, Graham's law of diffusion. Now with this, and we've done some numericals, so with this we wind up kinetic theory of gases. We will be continuing with the gaseous state and in detail the gaseous state, but right now till kinetic gas equation and their derivations from the kinetic gas equation we have finished for today. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. Stay at home, stay safe, take care of your family, and best wishes.